Course Academy, where I teach you 5 ways to monetize your message and your expertise. Enrollment is open now at www.myacademy.biz/product. All right, hello. Welcome to all those that are joining us live from all across the web, those that are listening in from all of our broadcast stations, Facebook Live, Periscope, YouTube Live, certainly mobile app users, Alexa devices. You know today is Prime Day, so you might be listening in from an Alexa device you just purchased. I don't know, but we're glad to have you on the show today. And so my goal is to motivate, excite, and influence. And I've got a delightful young lady that's hanging out with me in the virtual studio who I'm going to be bringing up to the mic momentarily. Monique Williams is coming to the virtual studio as a busy single mother of a very active school-ager. Monique balances quite a few hats with her private practice and her personal life. She's an author, she's an entrepreneur, she's an educator, she's a public speaker, i.e. you will get to hear her at the upcoming pop-up conference November 1st and 2nd. Non-shameless plug. She's also a girls' high school basketball coach, a community activist, and the host of the annual Girlfriends Weekend Retreat that's coming up in August. Monique holds a Master of Arts in Human Services, focus on marriage and family counseling, certainly many other certificates and credentials associated to her name. But really, Monique's philosophy and mission is around empowering women, and it's very simple: to help the overwhelmed and the overworked, career-driven and businesswoman to rediscover and redefine themselves with confidence. And she's coming up to the mic right now. Welcome to the show, Monique Williams. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey, girlfriend. Hey. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
I am good. Life is good.
Busy bee. So certainly I just rattled off like a ton of things that you have your hands in, but you seem to, have your head on straight, at least for while we're talking here.
Sometimes.
And so there's always the question around balance, right? There's always so what is your response when people say, how do you balance it? What is your response to that?
Oh, well, after I laugh at all the things, like you said, once you start rambling off all the things that I do, I laugh when they say, how do you do it all? Because the real reason and the real thing is that balance really doesn't exist. It's not going to come to you. You got to create it. And one of the things that I had to really learn was giving up this idea that I can do it all. And that was really the essence of how I came to start balancing my life a little bit better, is because I was trying to do everything and be everything for everyone and do this and do that and run the world and be Madam President and still at the end of the day be mom. And it didn't work out that way. And so for me, it was all about coming to this realization that I can't do it all. And it's okay. And once I kind of had that realization that I couldn't do it all, well, then I was able to really redefine what it means to have it all and put it in a context that actually works, not just for me, but also works for my family, for my career, for my business, for my relationships, which is really key and really important. And so it helped me to stop getting so overwhelmed with this idea of being kind of that perfect Patty kind of person, or, being that super mom or being that superwoman, because none of those people exist. They really don't. And once you let go of that stuff, then you can start putting it in your own context, and it helps you to navigate your space and your world and your life so much easier.
Such good advice and such good sound wisdom right there. And so you definitely, all of the credentials and everything that are behind your name, you really focus kind of your studies around work with women, children, and really the support for families as they experience growth through transitions, and whether that's divorce,
Mhm.
separation, changes, and losses. What turned you in that direction to say I want to focus on kind of like this area, this this spot of people?
Yeah, so I think a lot of us who get into the helping profession, and that's kind of where I've been for about almost 12 plus years of my career. I think anybody who really gets into the helping profession, a lot of times we get into it because we've had some experience ourselves of being a person on that other side. And so for me, I endured a lot of childhood trauma. My family moved constantly. I was experienced domestic violence. We were exposed to substance use and so many different things, community violence. And so for me, navigating in that space and growing through that trauma is really what kind of resonated with me throughout elementary school and middle school and eventually in high school. And so by the time I made it to college, I had destined that I was going to go to law school and I was going to be a lawyer and I was going to help children
Ah.
who went through divorce and separation like I did, which was brutal as a child, and having someone rip my family apart in my eyes and not hear me as a child and a teenager saying what I wanted. I just knew I was going to be on that end of family law. But God had different plans for me, obviously, and
Uh-huh.
it was during that time of me being in undergrad school where I started volunteering with youth at the Saturday Academy, and I was volunteering with youth and families who were pretty much in at-risk environments and at-risk situations. They were children who were either in detention centers or they were bouncing back and forth through different service systems. And I started just talking to them, and the biggest question or the biggest thing that they would say as their theme was that you don't understand because you don't come from where we're from. And I'm like, oh no, I do come from where you're from. And it was kind of that realization that that was the space that I wanted to be in, that I really had more of this mission to serve people who really needed that guidance. And so for years I
Mm.
worked in community mental health counseling, and I focused on women and children and families who went through crisis and experienced trauma. And I was really navigating that space and really supporting individuals through those crises. But it really wasn't until I got into state policy and program development and started doing consulting work where I would go out and do conferences and speak to people about different ways to engage children and family in services, that it was the light bulb moment that I had where I said, man, I've been in
Mm.
this same area of my life, like the clients we talk about, like the people we're helping, where I've been a paycheck away from having the lights cut off. I've been a paycheck away from not sure if I'm going to make the rent that month, or, and just having that overwhelm and that stress. And the people attending conferences to get strategies on how to support and help families could relate. And
Yeah.
because it happened to me, not just as a child, but as an adult, where I got hit with this rock bottom, it was that light bulb and that trigger that said, okay, it's more than just helping those who are getting to the lowest of points. How do we support those individuals from a more healthy standpoint so they don't get to that low point, so that they don't need that high intensive intervention? And so I've kind of been bouncing back and forth in all of those spaces, which I've been afforded to with my agency. And so, it's something that I continue to have from a passion from childhood, and it continues to grow and spark just throughout my adulthood and the encounters that I have with other women and with other families as well.
Wow. And so I think that that makes you so credible because you are able to, to relate in a lot of different arenas. Hey there, if you just tuned in, you're checking out the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show. We're featuring Monique Williams right now. You may know her and have seen her on Facebook, Girlfriends Chat, Life Coaching and Empowerment. So thanks for those that are listening in on the phone lines and those that are listening in from all of our streaming platforms, Facebook, Periscope, YouTube. We appreciate you guys. All right, so Monique, tell the listeners what is cognitive behavioral coaching. So I know that you have a certification in that. Tell us what that is.
Yeah, so cognitive behavioral coaching is basically, for lack of better words, it's a way of getting behind your cognitive scripts. that negative thinking. It's a way of tackling where the roots of your decision making come from, and really
Mhm.
changing the mindset and shifting, the way that you encounter your future experiences based off of your past experiences. For a lot of us, it really takes us back to those cognitions that can be rooted in our fears, those cognitions that could be rooted in our past experiences, whether good, bad, or indifferent. But it really helps to shift the individual perspective and focus from moving from that place of fear, from that place of negativity, that those thoughts and those limitations, to finding ways of how you've previously overcome those situations and knowing that if you did it once, you can do it again. um, and
Yeah.
then even being able to change some of that thinking of saying, okay, well, if I did it one time and I got to this point and it's happening again, what do I need to change and what do I need to do differently? So it really helps that individual kind of walk through all of those scripts and those schema that we develop about ourselves or about people or experiences, and to really shift the focus to not just being stuck there, but how do we get out of there and how do we stay out of there oftentimes.
Mm. Stay out, because sometimes we can get out, but then we don't stay out.
No, we
wanna,
don't. We
you
go
wanna
right back to
definitely
it.
stay
We go
out.
right back
Stay
to
out.
it, and it's because it's familiar. It's familiar, and oftentimes,
Mhm.
many of us we go back to that comfort, and that's what's hard for us to stay out. I mean, you can think about like relationships, and you can think about,
Mhm.
just again those experiences. Like I laughed at a meme that I saw the other day that talked about, it was a relationship meme, and it said, oh, I don't have a type, and then it was like a picture of the 7 Up soda bottle, a Sierra Mist, and a Sprite, and it was like, but these are all my
Uh-huh.
favorites. It's like, but it's those things that we know we know better, but yet we go back because it's so familiar, it's so comfortable. And part of what cognitive behavioral coaching does is it takes those principles of really what's cognitive behavioral therapy, and it applies it in a way that helps us to challenge and change those distortions and those behaviors, and just improve our own regulation throughout that process, and helps us to navigate better.
Oh, that's good. Good mental health happening right here, right here. And so I know that there may be some listening saying, "Hey, how can I connect with Monique? Do you offer one-on-ones? Can you give that information out?"
Absolutely, yes. So I do provide individualized coaching as well as group coaching. And so you can work with me one on one in an intimate, more private setting, or you can work with me through my group coaching, which will be actually starting up a cohort here in September. So we'll go through a
Oh.
series. Yeah, so that's you got a little exclusive there. Yes,
Off the press.
so
Hot off the
I
press.
know, right? Off the press, right? But so I will be opening up my group coaching collaborative, so you can work with me there. And then also, of course, one of the biggest ways to work with me is through my annual Girlfriends Weekend Retreat, which is coming up this August 2nd through 4th in Williamsburg.
Okay, so tell us, how did putting on a retreat or any kind of event, takes time, it takes energy, and it's just not something you kind of roll over and say, oh, I'm going to do a whole full retreat. So what was the catalyst, the initial catalyst for you to start the annual Girlfriends Weekend Retreat?
Let's go back to what you said about it's not something you roll over and say I'm going to do this, because you're absolutely
Right.
correct. It is not. And it can be very taxing. So you definitely want to make sure you have a good team around you for your event planning. But this is
Yeah.
my third year of hosting the Girlfriends Weekend Retreat, and initially when I did it my first year, I started it because I was in the space where I was branching out into full-time entrepreneurship. I had jumped
Mhm.
from my government job and decided to go into private consulting and starting up my business, and I felt very lonely. I felt like I did not have a tribe of women who understood where I was coming from, who I can share in that space very safely, especially when I was getting overwhelmed with trying to run a business and at the same time not only being the CEO of a business but also trying to be the MOM in my household. and
yes.
that was, kind of trumping things, especially as a single mom. And so for me, when I created the retreat, it was kind of a way to bring women together to say, hey, let's create this space for us to actually open up and share about the challenges that we go through and support one another through those challenges and share what strategies are working for you, what's not working for you, and get tools that are going to help us in a way that does not that doesn't focus on competition. I think many times that for women in business or women in careers, we only think that, we see other women sometimes as competition, and that's not the case, because I always firmly believe that there's a client out there for everyone, and I can't serve everyone. And so if I know someone who may be doing something similar as me and can reach somebody else in a different target or a different market, I want to make sure that I'm networking with that woman. I want to make sure that she's in my back pocket, that I can share her card, because if I'm taking on too many clients and I'm busy, I don't want someone to not receive a service. I want to be able to make sure I can give you a referral. And I think that's something maybe I've learned from my hat of being in community mental health and helping families to navigate that, a referral is just as good as being a service provider. But when I created the Girlfriends Weekend Retreat, it was to be able to say, hey, who else is feeling overwhelmed with starting this business? Who else is really trying to figure out what the balance looks like, or who is losing themselves in the process? Because that's kind of what you go through when you're starting to elevate. You go through this shedding process where you might lose friends along the way. You might lose connections to family members. You might lose ties and things because you're growing in a space that's no longer serving you. And so sometimes that means people around you aren't serving you in the greatest capacity. And it was just a way to open women up to knowing that support is available. It may not always look the way that you had intended it to look. Support even from your family and friends may be there. It just may not show up in the way that you're hoping, like for them to buy your product or something like that. And that doesn't mean that you have to stop your grind or stop your hustle or stop your flow, as I like to say. It just means that you have to really start to create a new space for yourself to grow in.
Yes, and I'm so glad you brought up the word in this perspective of serving, that whether you're a for-profit, non-profit, even ministry that might be listening in, I think a lot of us have big missions and big messages, and we are trying to serve our audiences, and you can serve at various ways. You can serve at different types of levels, and a referral is a type of it is a service. You are
Absolutely.
resourceful. People know to come to you and say, who can do this, who can do that, and you can direct them. That is valuable, and you are definitely a resource. And kind of tied into this, you have, I've seen on your website, and I've seen just in like promotions, you have some digital products and kind of virtual products and services that you offer. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about that?
Absolutely, yes. So I do. I have, you can actually sign up for a free email course with me too, that just kind of helps you just to start thinking about how you want to take charge of your life. But I have different digital products on my website that you can help yourself to rediscover your purpose and to help you get more ahead and really tackling those core beliefs, again, going back into some of this cognitive behavioral coaching. And that's actually a free download that you can get. It's an audio product, so you'll be listening in to a video, audio version, and you have a little work guide with you, and even to a journal that you can work on that helps you to develop your core goals for your life for that particular year. It kind of takes the idea of a vision board and puts it into something more tangible that you can take with you. So a few digital products on my website along with my books that you can purchase. So absolutely, things from free to things that are a paid service, because, again, I want to make sure you can get your life. That you're going to get all the tools and resources that you need. Yes.
And in your own words, how important and what has the impact and effect been for being able to offer these types of digital products to your clients?
It definitely helps to not only one to stay relevant to your clientele that you could potentially have, but it also helps to, again, go back to what I said before about you can't be everywhere, you can't work with everyone, you can't stretch yourself too thin. So being able to have some products and some resources from on topics that many times people are requesting your services about, or they're asking about, how are you doing this, or I'm feeling overwhelmed with this, or I don't know where to start, or I'm feeling lost in my job, or feeling lost in my career. Things that I hear from women a lot of times. If I have a digital product that I don't have to repeat myself over and over again, number one, and number two, that I can help them get on, I can start weeding out those who maybe a potential long-term client versus someone who might just need a more shorter-term investment. It just helps to kind of create your own way of going through your intake process. And so it just keeps, like I said, it not only keeps you relevant in your potential audiences on their platform or in their inbox or in their face, for lack of better words, but it also helps to keep you from stretching yourself too thin, where you feel like you got to run around for all these different clients when you're repeating yourself 3 and 4 times when you could have either done a group coaching, or maybe you could have just had that digital product available. So I absolutely love it. I love it.
Awesome. And that is exactly why I have put together Product and Course Academy, which is open for enrollment at myacademy.biz/product. And it is for exactly the reasons that you said, that you literally cannot serve everyone. And then some people just need a little bite-sized sample and what you have to offer, and so check it out. And this show is brought to you by Product and Course Academy, which launches August 5th. So Monique, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to get all of the other juicy details about this upcoming retreat. So keep it locked right here. Don't you move. We'll be right back.
It's the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show. Charvette will be back after this.
Join us for the 17th Annual James River Writers Conference, happening at the Greater Richmond Convention Center, Saturday, October 12th and Sunday, October 13th, with master classes starting Friday the 11th. This conference is an annual gathering in Richmond, Virginia, that attracts prize-winning authors and highly regarded editors and literary agents from around the country to share their wisdom about writing and publishing. Register today at jamesriverwriters.org, and we will see you October 12th and October 13th at the Greater Richmond Convention Center. Find out more at jamesriverwriters.org.
Man, do I love card night. You ready, boys? You got a king?
Go, Fish Dad!
Oh, come on. This is WWE superstar Titus O'Neil. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Are you starting a new business, releasing a CD, writing a new book? Consider Mitchell Productions for your web design services. Visit www.mitchell-productions.com for portfolio samples, specials, and package prices. Remember, a website is not a luxury item. It's a necessity. Check out mitchell-productions.com or find them at facebook.com/Mitchell Productions.
She's here to motivate, excite, and influence you. She's Charvette Mitchell. It's the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show with in-depth interviews from today's leading authors, gospel artists, stars that you want to know about. And now, Charvette Mitchell.
All right, welcome back again to all those that are hanging out here. And we are glad to have you. We're chatting up here with Monique Williams. Hello to all those that are listening in from Facebook Live. Thanks for all the comments. Hello, Periscope. Hello, YouTube. Hello, Charvette.com. All of our broadcast stations, we appreciate you here. So, Monique, let's give the juicy details and nuggets about the second annual. No, this is the third annual.
This is the third, yes. Yes, ma'am.
Get me straight.
Yes, so this is the
details.
third. Yeah, this is the third annual Girlfriends Weekend Retreat, and it's taking place in Williamsburg, August 2nd through 4th. And really what it is, it's 2 powerful days of conferences that are really helping us as women to navigate and balance our personal and professional life. Like I said, like even right now, I'm joining the virtual studio by way of a conference that I attended today, where I was a speaker with helping professionals on their own self-care. And so when we think about going to conferences, a lot of times we're getting things that are going to help us either with our career or with our business, and very seldom do we really try to focus in on the personal aspect of our development and our growth. And like I said, when I started the first retreat, it was to help support other women with navigating that space and understanding that you're going to have those setbacks, you're going to get overwhelmed, and it's all okay. But how do we get out of it? What are strategies that are going to help support us through it? And so we are really just at this year's retreat, we're really focusing on that level up that we need to help us guide our lives a little bit more personally and professionally, the things that are going to help us to be more strategic in our careers, that are going to help us to be more strategic in our businesses, as well as it relates to just our life overall, and taking what we do know and how do we elevate it to the next level? How do we get ourselves beyond, okay, I may be reaching this audience, but I want to grow. What strategies do I need to have in place? And so I'm super excited because I want to say it's probably one of its kind that actually combines that personal piece, that self-care reflection piece, with also the professional development aspect. So we have fun, but at the same time we get work done, because you're going to feel good when you leave there, but you're going to have strategies to actually go do work. And so over the course of that weekend, we have our little pampering session. We have massages that all the women are going to enjoy. Just from being in attendance, you get a complimentary massage. You're going to have a pampering session and learn more about how to put your best face forward when you're in your corporate space or your business space, because we all know that our representation is oftentimes our appearance first. And so how do we keep ourselves looking good even when we're not always feeling our best, but how do we step up and rise to that occasion? And then there's also fun things such as the wine tasting tour, paint night with Tequila Canty, who owns the art studio in Richmond. She's coming up to Williamsburg to host our paint night event for us. So it's just a great time. And we're also going to get that professional growth where we're going to be talking about how to network for those who are working in multi-level marketing and those types of sales-related businesses, really how to brand yourself apart from what you do for Mary Kay or from Synergence, or, how to actually get your name out there as opposed to just your corporate name. So just a lot, it's just kind of a good variety of things for women.
Okay. Where can they go to enroll?
So you can actually enroll at girlfriendsretreat.info, and you can get your ticket for the event, and I hope to see you there.
All right. And the dates and the location again.
Yes, August 2nd through 4th in Williamsburg, Virginia at the Hilton Garden Inn in Williamsburg. And we kick off Friday night with our social. And so that kicks off at 6 p.m. that Friday night.
Wonderful. And for those that are saying, I want to follow Monique online, how do I do that? How can they connect with you on social media?
Yes, so I am on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and you can find me on all social platforms at Girlfriends Chat. So Facebook, Girlfriends Chat, Women's Life Coaching Empowerment Services. And Instagram, I'm at Girlfriends Chat, and on LinkedIn, you can find me there as well. So love to connect with all of you.
And I know you have teamed up to bring in some other speakers that are going to help you out. Do you want to shout out a few of them?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, yes. I definitely want to shout out all of my team because I have such a wonderful team that is joining me for this powerful weekend. And all of us are in that entrepreneurial space. So Wendy Foy-Goodman, she's not only a real estate agent, but she's an MLM. She's based out in the Hampton Roads area. A couple of our Hey Girl, Hey community members are part of this as well, including Cynthia Williams-Bay of Heavenly Sent Childcare, Sonia Keeve of podcast. Yes. I also believe that Shanita Brown, who's coming from Maryland, she's also one of our community members. She will be joining us. Yvonne Stewart, who is a balancing mom as well, who's going to be bringing her own little mini assistant to the event to just show that, being a single mom doesn't stop you. I also have Kanya Ford, who is with Bedroom Candy and Kay's Candy. She has branded herself and really stood out. It really stands out in MLM for me, in my opinion. She will be there along with Mae Williamson, who was recently married. So I can't tell you her new last name just yet, but she is a director with Mary Kay, who has strategically branded her business over the almost 15 years of being with Mary Kay that she's been there. And then Katie Blevins Calabrese is my other guest speaker, and she is with Business Among Moms, a national organization that supports mom entrepreneurs, and they have some local chapters in Hampton Roads, the Richmond, Newport News area as well here in Virginia. So super excited.
Oh, wonderful. A lot of great people you have gathered together there. So listeners, check it out. Well, I'm telling you what, it is a wrap. Our time really flew on by. And so I want to thank you so much for stopping by and just sharing a few nuggets with our audience. And we'll just continue to keep connected with you on social media and all those good things.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Have a great night. All right, listeners, that is a wrap for today's show. So share this link with a friend, share the video with a friend, and say you need to come check this out, and you need to listen in to the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. We'll be back next week with more phenomenal, amazing, dynamic, terrific. Y'all trying to figure out how many more adjectives guests that we have lined up. I'll see you guys
live from Richmond, Virginia. You've been listening to the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. Catch Sharvette Mitchell every Tuesday at 6 p.m. interviewing all the stars you want to hear from. So until next week, stay motivated, excited, and influenced. This is the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show.